We start the day's other news in North Carolina, where Republican lawmakers say they'll vote next week on a new congressional map that could help them win an additional seat in Congress. It's the latest move in the nationwide battle over redistricting. Republicans in Texas and Missouri and Democrats in California have all made similar efforts ahead of next year's midterm elections. North Carolina last changed its map in 2023. In 2024, Republicans won 10 out of 14 seats. Before that, the parties were evenly split. New Jersey and parts of New York have declared emergencies as a powerful offshore storm slams the East Coast. One woman in New York City was killed when a solar panel was blown from a rooftop. The nor'easter storm is churning its way north after hammering the Carolina Outer Banks. Strong winds and flooding are expected from Virginia to New Jersey, where residents are already reporting high surf.
Never seen the ocean like this. It's probably the craziest I've ever seen.
Elsewhere, transit workers in New York City covered subway vents today to prevent flooding. The city's Columbus Day parade was canceled. Meanwhile, in western Alaska, dozens have been rescued after the region was hit hard by the remnants of Typhoon Halong. Officials there say 3 people remain missing after winds and flooding hit the remote coastal area. Officials in Mexico say the death toll from last week's rains and flooding has risen to at least 64, with dozens of people more missing. Most of the fatalities were reported in the states of Veracruz, Hidalgo, and Puebla near the country's eastern coast. Residents of affected areas have been cleaning up and assessing the damage, with thousands still without power and running water. Some areas received more than 20 inches of rain last week, causing flooding and landslides. Officials are warning that the death toll could rise. Turning now to Madagascar, where President Andry Rajoelina says he had to flee to a secure location to protect his life. The 51-year-old made the announcement in a speech posted online, though he didn't disclose his location. The former French colony of some 31 million people off the coast of Africa has faced weeks of protests led by a youth group calling themselves Gen Z Madagascar. The demonstrations began over water and electricity outages and quickly grew to include broader anger at the government. Then this weekend, an elite military unit joined the cause, and the president's office said a coup was underway. Today, protesters in the capital's main square said their work is not yet done.
It is only the struggle on the ground that is over, not the struggle at the negotiating table. And that is where the change of the system, the desire to change the system, takes on its meaning.
The situation on the ground in Madagascar remains fluid, with curfews in place in the country's major cities. 3 researchers have won this year's Nobel Economics Prize for their work on the concept of creative destruction. That's where new innovations replace older technologies and businesses. Dutch-born Joel Mokyr will receive half of the $1.2 million prize. Philippe Aghion and Peter Howitt will split the rest. The Nobel Committee said the winners helped shed light on how innovation drives economic growth and human welfare. The Economics Prize was established by the Bank of Sweden in 1968 as a memorial to Alfred Nobel. And on Wall Street today, stocks regained their footing after President Trump tried to ease concerns about his China tariff threats. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added nearly 600 points. The Nasdaq jumped almost 500 points on the day. The S&P 500 also ended sharply higher. And after 16 years and more than 1,600 episodes, today, Marc Maron wrapped his groundbreaking podcast, WTF. The actor and comedian started the show in 2009 out of his California garage. Those humble origins set a template for a generation of podcasters that followed, thanks to freewheeling and honest conversations with the likes of Robin Williams, Lorne Michaels, and Ariana Grande. Former President Barack Obama became the first sitting president to appear on the podcast in 2015, and he returned as Maron's final guest. Obama spoke to Maron's popularity.
And I think that part of the reason you had such a big fan base during this 16-year run is there was a core decency to you and the conversations you had.
Maron and his longtime producing partner, Brendan McDonald, announced they would end the show earlier this year, saying they were burnt out but, quote, utterly satisfied with the work we've done. In recent years, WTF has consistently been one of the most streamed and downloaded podcasts, boasting more than 55 million listens per year. Still to come on the News Hour, the state of the government shutdown now that President Trump has ordered military members still be paid. And Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.